Okay, now in this session, what we are going to cover here is the data import option. So in the data import, as you can see in this section, there are multiple different data import that we support, but certain data import has very predefined purpose. I'm not going to get into the details of both SCCM and discovery. So for those two things, we need to have an existing SCCM system and the discovery, our legacy discovery 9.x system as well to get the data from that system back into our heat service management platform. Okay. And in the rest of the stuff, what we're going to see is, we literally see some sort of a sample of the email import connection, what we saw in the previous use cases using email integration. So in this section, what I'm going to still show here is what are the options of, having more than one XSLT. Normally if you cannot bring in one single XSLT, by which how you can add additional XSLT libraries, that I can quickly show that. And the rest of the stuff, is the list of files that we support for our data import is XML, and XSLT is primarily used as a transformation logic for XML and XSL. And the XLX and XLS file, those are all Excel files with different extensions. And this is primarily the XLSX file has more data row rather than, and the old one has some limitation in the number of rows. And the CSV file is a regular, text file with a comma separated value on it. Okay. And in the column D, what I said, whether it requires scripting or not, is when I say yes and no here is primarily if you have an XML file, which is not a direct, format as an hierarchical XML of what we expect, only then you need an XSLT scripting. Otherwise, if you are using an Excel file or a CSV file, you don't need any scripting logic to do this data import. And again, the data import source file can be available on a specific file or a shared folder or an FTP or SFTP location, or you can simply do a manual upload as well. And there are a couple of important points when you are trying to deal with comma separated value on a text file. Last column of the column data should not have a comma. So just make sure you are not, suffixing a comma at the header column of the last data. And in Excel file, at this point of time, we support only the first Excel sheet will be imported. If you have multiple sheets, the first sheet is the one is going to look up while doing the mapping and all the other stuff. And when you are selecting preview, if you have the file size is more than 50, megabytes, there are sometimes it's going to take some time to get the preview. So because while preview, it will try to load the entire file in our system. And when associating a link field, the system will use the display name property of the business object. So what I meant here is when you're trying to import a specific business object, for example, if I go into contact business object, external contact here, there is a property called display in the special purpose field section. And this is the one that we are going to use when we are trying to do a related import in the system. Okay, I'm going to go through all those things. And whenever you're trying to import using XLS or a CSV file, you can do only a one-to-one relationship. If you want to have a one-to-many relationship based off data import, in that case, you have to go with the hierarchical XML model where you can build any related number of objects and you will be able to provide one-to-many relationship, using that specific XML data. Okay, so let's take one by one. So the first one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the data import connection here. Here is integration 2, data import connection. I'm going to select simple Excel data import UC1. So this is primarily importing a data import connection. So in this case, what I'm going to do is let me quickly open up the Excel file and show you so I'm getting a specific account number, address. These are all information that I'm going to get into the system. So this is pretty much exactly the same way of, getting a field-to-field mapping, and some field has a specific, validation data. That's all it is, no special processing required here. Okay, I'm just going to close this Excel sheet here and go back to the application. Select this one just to show here. So in the moment you select the upload, it automatically goes, the moment you upload the file based on the file type, it will select the type. And this is one section that you need to make sure if you are having any datetime field as part of the import source import data, then you have to make sure you are selecting the right information over there. Okay. So let me select UC1 here. So do a test connection, make sure you have, read access, to that file. Select next. So this is where you're going to select the source unique key. So whenever you are trying to do an import source file, you just need to make sure at least you have a unique key in that file. Otherwise, you will not be able to actually do the import. So you have to select a source unique key, and you can have more than one column, combination of more than one field to make that unique key, like a composite key. Like in this case, you can say this one, and account and customer ID to to make this as a source unique key. So it all depends, how you want to, or how is your existing source data has been available in the system. And this is the target business object. This little text box will actually give you some way to enter, so that if you are having a large number of business objects, you can simply type in a few characters and say filter by name. It will try to locate the exact object here. In this case, our case is account, so that's why it's on the top of the list. So I'm just going to select account and go into next. I deselected it. Next. And this filter is, just to exclude or include only specific data points from the source file. This is where you create your filter. Once you create your filter, you have all the existing source data available in the system. Okay. And on top of that, you have an existing way to manipulate the data using all these operations, string operations or, integer and all those stuff. And you can just, provide the value. You have both and or blocks. So based on that, you will be able to select these things. Next, and this is where the system will automatically do the mapping as long as you have the right column header name exactly matching with the with the field and the system. So in this case, I specifically took care of having the right value of the column header in Excel sheet. That's why it's able to automatically map. And most important piece here is the account number. So whatever the source unique key that you have selected, make sure that unique key or unique keys, the composite primary key that you're selecting there, should be available in this mapping. Otherwise, it will not allow you to proceed into the next section. Select next. If you want, you can click preview and go from there, or simply publish and run now. So the moment you do this, what couple of things is going to happen. If you go to the integration history, you're going to see that specific import job is going to come. So let me quickly do a refresh here based on the start date and time. It's queued, so it's actually in the process. So the moment, there are a couple of status that you want to do while queuing data import stuff. First you will see the queued state, then you will see the running state, and then finally into the completed state. If it's queued, there are some time, because it's based on the queue, the list of files available on the queue, it will decide which one to use first and all those stuff. So make sure this is all done, and only then you will be able to see the actual data in it. So if I just start it one more time, as you can see, it's completed. And in this batch number, you have a way of figuring out how many of them failed and how many of them is processed. And that's pretty much it. Let's go back to the system and see. So now I have these 3 records as part of the account. So the next one, what I'm going to do is the second use case is, slightly in a different flavor. What I'm going to do is to use the same model, but with the link field option. So here, what we are doing is everything is exactly the same, but except the last part is, the primary contact link field. So as you can see in the primary contact link field, I'm using a display name here. So this is where the display name, the system is going to take this display name and look up into the specific, account, the external contact object and look for the special purpose field, display field. And if it matches, then it's going to check into that one. So the only difference between the mapping which I showed before and the one which I'm going to show here is, that one additional field, which is the primary contact link. Okay. The rest of the stuffs are same. Just go through the regular way of, selecting this and all those stuff. And here, this is the target object. I'm selecting account number, and the object is account. This is the filter we spoke about, and the list of all fields. As you can see, there is an additional field called primary contact link and primary contact link. All those is a link field. The system, in behind the scenes has a process. Whenever you assign something to a link field, first thing it's going to do is go into that specific business object. In this case, it will be external contact business object and look for what is the name available in the display property of the special purpose field. It find a match, then it's going to take the rec ID and assign it back to them. So that's all it's going to do here. So we are in the field mapping section. Select next. And the preview and publish are all things are good here. Just going to do the same thing. Okay. So now the same way, let's wait, give it a few seconds to see whether it's going to queue or not. Queued here. I just want to capture the running option. Sometimes the running, because it's only few records, it will go quick. That's the another status that we see here. Okay, it's too quick, so it just went away. So now if you come back and do a refresh, it should automatically fill up the contact record. And this contact is not just a simple, text field, but it's actually a link field. It's pointing to the correct, contact business object in the association as well, okay? So that's all, in this context of having a data import using a simple Excel file, one with the link field, other one is without a link field. And the next one, what we can do is, let me quickly close this one. Don't save. And I will also show an XML file. XML file, as I said, we have two options to it. One is a simple XML and the other one is an hierarchical XML. I'm going to show how a simple XML data looks like. As you can see, go here, go to the data import connection. Simple XML file import. Okay, so I created a custom business object called Heat Software Partners. So there are two records here. I'm just going to delete these two records. Yes. So there are no records available in the system. And I'm going to go into this one and I'm going to see data import simple XML. So I'm going to show this information. So this is an XML file. This XML file has a table element and a row element here. So this is the two important piece, that you are going to consider when trying to import a simple XML file. Go back here, do a simple file import, manual upload. I'm just going to select the one over here. So the moment you select, it automatically identifies the file type. And this is the two information by default you have to fill it in. It will be empty, when you're creating a brand new connection. So just make sure you open this specific XML file, and whatever you see here on the table element, that is what you're going to copy that. I'm going to put it back here as a table element, and the row element is the one, which is available over here in the XML file. Where's my text handler here? This one. So this tells in the XML file, you can have so many of data, but you can pinpoint only to a subset of data if you want. So it's exactly go into a specific, table element, and under that, it will just pick up that specific row element, and then it will try to get all this information. These fields should exactly match, the list of fields that we have in the object. Okay. Otherwise, you will be able to modify that as part of the field map. And again, the date and time field has a special case, so make sure you are doing the right thing over there. Select next. So another important thing which I forgot to mention on the other one is the batch size and the maximum file size. You can decide what is the batch size that you are going to do. Let's say if you have 50,000 records, you don't want to just, take everything and import it, and you can do it in batches. This is what the batch size is all about here. So to read more about this, what is the limitation and all those stuff, just go to the help file, and you should be able to, get it from here. As far as the file section is concerned, file size is concerned, I think if you are doing a manual import, I think it's 250 MB, I believe, or the file size, and if you are doing an FTP, it's close to 500 MB. So that is the file size at this point in time it's going to allow here. So in this case, I'm selecting this customer ID is the unique key, okay, and so our object is heats our SW partner. That's the object that I'm going to select. Select next. I'm not going to have any filter, and in the mapping field you can see it's all pre-mapped because the field name is exactly matching with the XML element data over there. And I'm just going to do a publish and run now. So what this will do is this will actually, just again, if you go back to the section here, simple XML mapping is queued, and in a few seconds, so yeah, it's all done here. Now if I go back and do a refresh here, you should see these two records which we just created. So this is an XML-based import. And one other thing that I want to show is you can have in the regular integrations tool, you also have an option of adding more than one XSLT file if it need be. So let me go to that sample. Yeah, here it is. So in this section, I have an XML file, okay? And on top of that, what I did is I not only added the main XSLT, there are also additional XSLT. So if you have more than one XSLT file, like you have additional XSL libraries, you will be able to add this XSL file as part of using this additional XSL library option here. You click on adding, and these files will be referred here, as part of the XSLT in the top section, as you can go and see. Okay. So this is another one which I missed on the previous section. I think that actually covers most of the data import option. So this should take care of most of the data import scenarios that we talked about. And there is a feature request that has been submitted by the partner group that is primarily on the display name property. So what they are doing right now is, as you can see in the real-time scenario, if they have a specific data source available, and in the data source file will have a login ID or an email address as the primary key or the unique field, from the Excel file or a CSV file. But in our case, if you take the contact business object external contact, what we have is a display name as our special field here. So most of the customer, what they're doing is they are adding an additional field called primary contact email and just putting that value and then trying to run a business rule to link, use a search and link to make it happen. So instead, what they're expecting is, as part of the feature request, is if you go into any one of this, let's take this one, the expectation is, let me just click the upload so that I can move into the configuration sections here. So the moment you select the link field, what they're expecting is instead of directly assigning to a primary contact link field here, the moment I select a link field in the target business object, it should give me an option which field is the one that I'm going to look up for. So in this case, not only the display name is the only option we have, whereas if we can provide the moment we select a link field, if we can provide that information like all the fields available in the primary contact link association, which is the external business object, then I should be able to associate that email record, login ID, or whatever that field might be. That is a feature request that has been submitted, and hopefully we'll be able to get that in the future release. Okay, I think this completes our data import connection use cases. The next one, we are going to see the data export options and followed by the web service options. Thank you.